Years old and facing the possibility of spending the rest of her life in prison. Former Congresswoman Corrine Brown spent more than 3 decades of her life as a public servant. Now she's a convicted felon. Tonight she's at home awaiting sentencing.
A 12-member jury found Brown guilty of 18 of 22 federal charges today, including fraud and corruption. But her attorney says the fight isn't over. And tonight we have team coverage for you of what's next for the former Congresswoman, reaction from the community, and we're going back to where this all started. We begin with Stephen Dial, who is live tonight outside of the federal courthouse. Stephen?
Heather, when Congresswoman Corrine Brown left the courthouse, she was silent, stone-faced, not saying anything. She released a statement later in the day saying that she will fight to remain and maintain her reputation. Despite being found guilty tonight, she says she's innocent. Congresswoman, do you have anything to say to your supporters? Silent and stoic after being found guilty on 18 corruption and fraud charges. A sharp contrast from the conversation I had with Corrine Brown days before the trial started.
On my tombstone, it will not say felon guilty.
You're not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Brown spent more than 2 decades on Capitol Hill. She was the type of politician that you either loved or hated. After the verdict, her supporters were stunned.
Until it happens, nobody is really prepared for it. It feels like a death in your family.
Her longtime pastor still having faith. You have any reaction?
I still see God in it.
After 8 days of testimony, a dismissed juror, and 4 days of deliberations, the jury found Brown guilty of conspiracy, mail-in wire fraud, and filing false tax returns. The jury believing the accusations lodged at Brown that she used a bogus charity to steal money for her personal gain.
No one's life is a snapshot. Our lives are films, and you have to look at each and every frame. And Corrine Brown is not going to be defined by what happened here today. This is the first phase of the process, and this isn't the end. You don't do all the things that she's done and accomplish all that she's accomplished without being incredibly strong. This isn't the first trial that she's had to deal with in her life, and it's not going to be the last one.
After Brown was found guilty, the Department of Justice released a blistering statement saying, in part, they say that former Congresswoman Corrine Brown violated the public's trust and the integrity of her position. Continuing our team coverage, we want to send thanks to my colleague, Julia Jenae. She's where it all started at Bono's Barbecue. Corrine Brown was served her papers. Julia.
That's right. This community hit hard by a verdict that many were watching very closely. Here in the Northside area is where something started in this case, at this restaurant where back in January of 2016, Brown was holding a political strategy session where federal agents served her with a subpoena that started a case that would end with today's guilty verdict.
It's a sad day.
In a restaurant with roots dating back farther than Corrine Brown's long political career,
She did a lot for the community, and she was well loved too.
several gathered at the Bono's Barbecue on Norwood Avenue to watch the verdict come in.
Just like when Dr. King got killed, that moment of time that he got assassinated, it really hurt it.
Jelly Jackson says he was here eating the day Brown was served her indictment.
But you know, when you look at life, a lot of this will come and go.
Like most we talked to, he's hoping people will remember the good.
Said she was going to do some things, she got it done.
She helped build the courthouse, the funds for the courthouse down there, and that's
And while it's still the talk around the table,
everybody has secrets. Everybody has things they regret, which they could do over. But, you know, I don't think it's fair that we just throw her under the bus.
Some choose to remember the politician for her past.
The Jacksonville was asking that anybody who was homeless kind of go away from the downtown area. But she kind of stood up for them and said, look, this is what we want to do. So I was fairly young when that began happening. So that sticks with me, and it'll never be erased by anything that she's going through right now.
Today, Brown's attorney saying that her life should be judged as a film and not short snapshots, which he says this case right now is. That's something that was echoed by her supporters and many here in the community who say they will continue to surround her regardless of her guilt or innocence. Reporting from the North Side, Julia Jenae, First Coast News.
And Representative Al Lawson is reacting to the verdict tonight. He replaced Corrine Brown in District 5. He says, quote, My thoughts and prayers are with Brown, her family, and all those affected. I believe Jacksonville is a better place because of her 3 decades of public service.
And we got this statement today from Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis, who says by leveraging her office for financial gain, Corrine Brown breached the public trust and illustrated why we need term limits for members of Congress. And our coverage of the Corrine Brown verdict does not stop here. Right now on firstcoastnews.com, you can find a breakdown of all the charges and more reaction. Well, tonight,